himself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on, so Mileham in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani not very far apart at all here, but I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order, but Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And it definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down it towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike going to have a go at Werrell. Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's left on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching. And the Burger King machine's off into the grass a little bit there. Is that really bunching up now?
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
Oh, they're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to your Sunday evening broadcast, your Sunday Racing, brought to you by JP Broadcasting YouTube channel with the Tanso Racing Group, out on display here tonight in the GR86s around VIR race circuit, the Virginia International Raceway. It's a beautiful track. It's a lengthy track for these cars. There's a lot of space out there as well to get some overtakes done. Plenty of straights to make your moves. And, well, we're going to be treated to some great action once again here tonight. So, looking forward to everything that lays ahead of us, really, tonight. We are in the penultimate round of the season. There's not much to go now at all. So, it really does come down to what these drivers can pull out in not only this round, but your final round as well next week, which will be at Alton Park. So that's one thing to keep in mind there as well. The next round being at Alton Park. Not a bad little place to have your final round of the season. But we have a whopping... let's have a little calculation here, because actually there's some A's. There's like a couple of corners of like 5 and 5A, when obviously that should be a 6. So let's add them up. So we've got 1, 2 variants, 3 and 4. So there's 21 turns in total, but for some whatever reason they've decided that some of the corners are a number with the letter A afterwards. Sorry, probably a lower class amateur corner. If you know what I mean by that, then you know. If you don't worry, it's a long story. But nevertheless, let's focus on what we have here coming up tonight. So let's have a look at some of the standings then tonight. Now, the Team Pros points sits as we see with SOB Racing at the top there, with both the Sylvesters in that team. Simtech just behind. That the gap there is not huge, but 512 points is what 512 is what SOB Racing is on the top. You've got 477 for Simtech and P2. Whiskin's on 460, so those two are quite close for P2 and P3. Then a bit further down the way, over 100-point gap actually there is Platinum Racing Team, but the Hobsons were in, I don't think they were in for the full season, so they've done a sterling job with what they have to offer so far. And Legend 43 Racing, obviously Mark Brown on his own, 171 points. He is over the top of Whiskins Racing 2 team, which is Shane Cotton and Marcus Law. And then down there, rounding off your table, is the SRL car of David Smith. Now that is your pro team points. Let's have a look at your AM team points then. Sorry for the resolution of this one, but this one is, I would say still quite tight, but I think there's going to be a clear winner, and that's Next Generation Racing, both the Hadfields. They are the only team with 2 drivers listed under that team, and that is obviously both the Hadfields, Ayrton Hadfield and Adrian Hadfield. So they are leading the way. And, well, they're leading the way over 100 points clear as well, over the top of BP Racing, which is Stuart Briley, who is on his own. But then you've got Slow Guys Racing, Dave Clark. You've got Tanso, which is JT Johnston. And then you've got Kevin Randall with the DMK Racing team. So that is your amateur standings for the teams. Now, let's have a look at the individual pros then. Now, there's obviously a massive table for the pros. There's a lot in this season. So what we'll do is obviously you can see the points on your screens there then. You can see the whole list. I'll go down the list and read out the names of who is where. So you've got Harry Fox currently leading the way in that championship winning spot. Followed by John Sylvester, then Ryan Dudley. So those 3 are the top 3 for the pros. Alex Sylvester just behind that though. Alex needs a couple of good results to finish in front of Ryan Dudley here tonight. And well, he could certainly be seeing some silverware just like his fellow teammate John Sylvester will at the end of the season, I'm sure. So, yeah, Alex Sylvester needs just to have a couple results just higher than Dudley to get that points advantage over him, and hopefully come away with the silverware next round out at Alton Park. But then you've got Dan Wareham, Aaron Hobson, Eric Ronneberg, then Daryl Morrison. Daryl Morrison's done a fantastic job here in his debut season with us. So incredible stuff from him. Mark Brown just behind that. And then Neil Rocks, Tom Wilson, Mark Proctor, Scott Kostrick, Martin Hobson, Lee Rylands, David Smith, Richard Fluherty, Shane Cotton, Marcus Law, Gary Linton, and Mikkel Lees. All there in the pros. Now let's quickly pop over to the AMs before we drop into the qualifying for tonight's racing session. Stuart Briley leads the way in P1, Dave Clark in P2, Ayrton Hadfield P3, Adrian Hadfield just outside the silverware area in P4 with 110 points, but if both the Hadfields can get some good results here tonight, they will be on for potentially some silverware, but they need Dave Clark to have a little bit of a stumble here tonight. JT Johnston, P5, fantastic season for him so far. JT Johnston sitting in P5 overall for the AMS, not bad whatsoever for him. Kevin Randall, P6, Michael Elms just behind that, followed by Martin Lee, Stephen Parker Hamilton, Tony Lamb, Pete McKendrick, Rick Wishen, Jamie McFadden, and Connor McKendrick. So that is your championship lineups right there. And, well, things are looking quite tense towards the end of the season. There's not many opportunities to get any points. You've got obviously the 2 races tonight, and then we have 2 more races at Alton Park next week, which will be your final round of the Tanso Racing season. And well, what a fantastic season it has been. Non-stop action as always. Incredible stuff from all these drivers, but that would mean that next season will wrap up your season 4, unfortunately. And then that'll be it. There'll be no more Tanso for I think it's a week or 2, and then back on for season 5 as well. So that's all good. And well, but one little thing we do need to, well, I should probably bring up. Some people do know, some people don't know. It's not major news, but it's obviously nice for everyone to be filled in on what's going on. So cannot confirm who will be doing it next season, but I will not be in the booth for next season's series with the Tanso Racing Group, unfortunately. But nevertheless, we still have 2 rounds tonight and next round of my lovely voice going over all this racing action for you. But yeah, unfortunately, just focusing on some primary goals of mine on my own channels and things, on my own Twitch and YouTube. So I'll need that time back. So this will unfortunately be my last season broadcasting in Tanso. However, I may make a return and it may be on the track, but we will see. I've had Mark Brown and a few others trying to talk me into it, so we'll have a little look at it, I suppose. We'll have a little look. No guarantee, but let's see. But yeah, I could well be joining these guys on track next season. We'll see what happens, though. But the main thing at the minute, then, is looking at who's going to qualify where. And, well, it's not going to be too easy to get overtakes done in sections. Well, really, the first sort of 2 or 3 quarters of the track. It's really until you get down this back straight here, as we sit on board basically with Mark Brown, and as Mark's coming down this back straight, it's a really long straight, and his car looks like it's crawling, but it's actually, obviously, well, it's not. I don't think it is anyway. It does look like it's going rather slow, but I'm sure that is just the camera angle making it look slow. But this is still all the way up the back straight, and here he comes. You can hear him going by now. There he goes, and he is still going full blast, so he is going quite quickly down the back straight, but that's how long it takes to get all the way down. So that is going to be a key place for some overtakes, definitely for some drafting, and yeah, for a bit of slipstream overtaking action. Now, the braking point is crucial going into the turns that Mark Brown just went through there, because if you slightly misjudge them, you can go absolutely flying, potentially take a few other cars with you as well. And this final corner is key as well. You've got to make sure you get that line right, because if you go wide, I've gone wide there many times before, and it's a real pain to try and get it back on track. So it's certainly something to avoid. Helen Morrison in the chat. Welcome, Stuart Rice, by the way. Appreciate you joining. Helen Morrison, welcome. Oh, what best of luck in your new adventures, Callum. I appreciate it. I was doing a lot of personal streaming on my own Twitch and YouTube channel before I got into broadcasting and commentary, but I am going to be taking a little bit of a step back to focus once again on my personal stuff. But you know, we may join these guys out on track and have a little laugh as well with them, see how things go. But you can see at the minute it is just a full grid of pros effectively. There's not any many AMs out there tonight. I'm just having a look at some of the cars that are signed up for tonight, and well, I will say this: I haven't got a single Hadfield on the grid. So there's no Hadfields out there tonight by the looks of things, and there's a couple other names that are in the. Let's have a little look here. So we've got Stuart Briley. He is obviously there. Then we have Dave Clark. P1 and P2 for the AMs are out on track, and they've obviously set times. So those two part of the AMs are sitting as they are in the championship. P1 and P2, which is Stuart Briley. P12 overall, but P1 in the AMs, as his qualifying position states. And Dave Clark P2 in the championship and P2 in the AMs, as it states. And then there's not actually many cars behind them. You've got Kevin Randall that hasn't set a time yet. You've got Mark Brown, which hasn't registered a time for him, unfortunately, yet. Maybe there's a couple off tracks here and there. Martin Lee also hasn't. Scott Kostrick and Gary Linton. 15, 16, 17, 18 cars in total for tonight's racing. Judging by how many we have signed up at the moment. That obviously, there is still time for one or two cars to get in if they so desire. Because I believe as long as they're in before the end of qualifying, they'll be able to race. But I mean, the Hadfields don't have to worry too much in terms of the team standings. I think they've obviously going to have that wrapped up. They're over 100 points clear. So good on them. They've got everything really wrapped up, to be honest. So yeah, not too worried in terms of that. But in terms of the amateur solo standings, the solo racer standings, Ayrton and Adrian, you know, they're up there, they're on the podium, but you know, there are names behind them that are here tonight. So like Kevin Randall being one of them, he's on 60 points, so he's got a bit to catch up to 114, but as long as he finishes the two races tonight in a somewhat decent position, then he'll be able to close that gap up quite well, actually. And well, JT Johnston, another one. The league owner is not here, I don't believe, either. So that's another person that could be in the run-in for some silverware. Isn't here on this course. Adrian Hadfield, obviously we said that the Hadfields aren't here, but he's P4. 4 points behind Ayrton Hadfield. And Ayrton's sitting in P3 at the minute. So he has some silverware coming to him if he can hold that position. But, you know, being away for a round, I don't think that's going to help his cause too much. Well, let's have a little look here then at your qualifying leader at the moment. Hey, Ronenberg, I think he maybe had a bit of an off track or something like that. Barnesy, welcome in, Milo Gamer. Hi all, big up the SOB Racing. Big let's go, yep. Big up them, let's go. Get some good racing on the board. Alex Sylvester currently sitting P3. Now we said things were looking a bit tight for him because Alex Sylvester needs to get a couple of positions, like a couple of finishes higher than Dudley now towards the end of the season, because at the minute there's 2 points between them. So if Alex Sylvester can beat Dudley in either one of the races or both the races here tonight, there's a high chance he'll be in front of Dudley on the championship standings at the end of tonight, leading into the last round, because this is the penultimate one. There's not many opportunities to get some points, so it's going to be crucial that Mr. Sylvester and Alex Sylvester of that can keep in front of Ryan Dudley, because they are battling out for P3 in the pro standings. So it's very close between them two. John Sylvester's just a bit ahead of that on 266. Harry Fox obviously a bit ahead of that on 292. We do have a Harry Fox, but Harry Fox is sitting P7 currently. So not the position we're used to seeing him, fortunately. And well, there's another position we're not used to seeing him, which is stopped on the track. Wiskins livery racing car of Neil Rocks now coming through the final turns. Get a bit of a different camera angle as they come through the final couple of turns, leading round towards that quick right-hander that you need to get the line correct to keep it on the track. And your qualifying session is over. So we will go to grab you your grid results here in just a moment. Here they are then. So let's have a little look at that. We have Eric Ronenberg, P1, Mark Brown, P2, Martin Hobson, P3, John Sylvester, P4, Alex Sylvester, P5, Ryan Dudley, P6, Harry Fox, P7, Dan Wareham, P8, Aaron Hobson, P9, Richard Flutie, P10, Darren Morrison, P11, Neil Rocks, P12, and then we have Stuart Briley leading the AMS in P13, Dave Clark, P2 in the AMS, P14, Gary Linton, P15, Scott Kostrick, P17, P16, sorry, and Martin Lee, P17, Kevin Randall, P18. So there is your full grid of your 18 cars there out on track in the positions that they should be. Evening all, welcome in, Phil. Not feeling too great today. Oh, Harry Fox, I'm sorry to hear that, mate. I'm assuming you mean as in you're not feeling too great as in ill. Or maybe the track, I'm not too sure, but we'll just wait for the rest of the cars to get on the track. But yeah, Harry Fox, wish you all the best tonight, mate. Just try and keep it on track, and you should have that championship wrapped up, sir. So keep it on track. Look forward to Old Empire next week as well. That's the main thing to think about tonight. But yeah, evening Phil, welcome in. Welcome everyone. Make sure you do drop a like on this broadcast as well. Do share the love. It is very much appreciated. We're just waiting on both the Sylvesters, Wareham, Morrison, Linton and Randall. And once we have those guys, we will be able to get underway here for your first race of the Sunday evening Tanso Racing Group session, the penultimate round of the season. And Gary Linton and Morrison haven't made the start because the lights are up. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and we're underway. Smoke from all the cars apart from P2 of Mark Brown at the moment, and just wait for them all to get off. A bit of a slow start there for Kevin Randall, but nevertheless Kevin Randall has gone round safely. And well, the battle for the lead already is on. Mark Brown's looking to take that past Martin Hobson. Martin Hobson up on the inside and almost going around there as they go through turn 1 and 2. Now heading round towards 3, and well, we're going to get to 5A, but I'm not going to sit here calling it 5A all night. There's battles going on all over the shop because obviously we have just started, but I'm quite surprised that all the cars have got away fairly cleanly. There's normally a bit of a door-to-door and bit of bashing going on through turn 1, but looked like fantastic stuff as they all come through. Richard Flutie back here, kind of just sitting off the back of a train at the minute, back of a long train of cars. You can see they're all cruising up through there. There is the comic livery of Scott Kostrick at the back of this train. And then you've got Darren Morrison, who obviously didn't make the grid, unfortunately. He's just a bit further behind. Gary Linton and, well, Kevin Randall's in the pits. Gary Linton isn't out on track with us, unfortunately. Mark Brown is your leader, though. 2 turns behind that, you have Eric Ronenberg. And Eric Ronenberg was very quick in your qualifying session, put in a couple of good laps, to be fair, in that pure pink livery, the 117 car. Now coming around by the Oak Tree, or what would be the Oak Tree. All a bit skittish there for Martin Hobson. Back in P3. He's got one of the Sylvesters on his rear end. And just behind Sylvester, this is going to be a man that we do focus on quite a bit tonight, is Ryan Dudley, because Ryan Dudley, he is trying to fend off Alex Sylvester. Obviously, they are battling for that P3 in the pros in the solo standing. So Ryan Dudley needs to try and hold position above Alex Sylvester. And lo and behold, look who's behind him. Alex Sylvester is right behind. So no slip-ups for Mr. Dudley. There is Sylvester's view. Ryan Dudley's rear end just in front. Not by much at all. Gaining big time there on the final turn. Got a beautiful exit, beautiful line, as we have Martin Hobson going into the pits, unfortunately. Not too sure why, because damage is off. But these guys are side-by-side going down the straight at the minute. Or almost side-by-side. Sorry, it looks side-by-side in the cockpit, unless there's a bit of backing off going on. But Alex Sylvester's moved up to P5 and Ryan Dudley's up to P4 thanks to Martin Hobson going in the pits, and the Whisk team livery car is coming through, and that is Harry Fox, who said he wasn't feeling too good, but he must be feeling good enough to bring the pressure and the attack onto Alex Sylvester as he's trying to get past him. A bit of a gap opening up a little bit there, but nothing major, because he's going to go on the attack once again, go up the inside, maybe not quite have it on that turn. Give it a couple more corners and you'll probably have that position. Neil Rocks is having to defend against Richard Flutie. Richard Flutie's really trying to stick that car up the inside, or he was 2 corners ago. And as they go through the S corners, almost corner to corner themselves, as they go back into a single file formation. Eric Ronneberg in the minute still chasing down Mark Brown in his bright green rimmed livery there. And well, that's one way to always tell where Mark Brown is. Just look at the rims on the car. And unfortunately, Darren Morrison has jumped for the pits at the moment as well. So Darren Morrison is out of the race, unfortunately, at the moment. So let's see. Darren Morrison. It just says he went off track, but we're not gonna name and shame people here tonight. But unfortunately, Darren has crashed. With tech issues, Darren graphics card crashed. Ah, no. No, so Darren Morrison's had the worst of the worst. There's nothing worse than when you're racing and you have graphic issues or just PC issues in general. Obviously, there are some people in this chat here tonight with us on this broadcast that know how that feels. Barnsey, I'm looking at you. I know how stressful it can get. Obviously, being in the chat a couple of times when you've had these issues, so I do feel bad for Mr. Darren Morrison. Not the greatest of scenarios. Mark Brown has dropped down. Mark Brown has also gone contact with John Sylvester. Sylvester, unfortunately, has touched the grass. He's on the grass, taking the trip to the coast of Norfolk, by the looks of things, in the direction he's going, as he returns back onto the black stuff and tries to get that car going again up to speed. But he's going to be attacked, well, to no end, really. Richard Flutie wasn't quite sure which way to go. John Sylvester has now slipped outside the top 10, unfortunately, thanks to that little bump he got from Mark Brown on the final turn. The final turn is absolutely crucial as well, because obviously any slight slip up and you lose big time. And the M&M's car of Martin Lee had a bit of a stumble there, and Richard Flutie ended up making contact there as well. Stuart Briley here, your leader of the AMS in the championship standings. He's trying to go up the inside of Richard Flutie at the minute with Mr. Sylvester just behind him. So he's got a bit of pressure on, because he's got a very quick car sitting behind him in the minute, but a very quick driver as well. So he kind of wants to get going. Oh, Harry Fox is round, unfortunately. Big contact there. Harry Fox is round, and then we have another car off the track of Daniel Wareham. Obviously, there is no damage, so he's going to be able to carry on, but he Tokyo drifts it back round, so it points in the right direction. And let's have a look at see what's going on up here then. Aaron Hobson, I saw, was trying to go side by side just a moment ago with Neil Rocks. Nothing much going on there at the minute, but Alex Sylvester still trying to claw in Ryan Dudley, but there's a car between them now, which is Mark Brown. Yes, I feel his pain. Yeah, 100% I feel for Darren Morrison, unfortunately. Has Morrison made it back out on track yet or not? No, so potentially the end of the night for Morrison. Hopefully not. Hopefully we'll figure out a solution to get Morrison back out on track, maybe for race 2. But we do have just under 14 minutes left to go in race 1, and well, it's a great race for Eric Ronneberg, who is 1.4 seconds up the road. Doesn't look like a lot though, because then you look in just behind him with Ryan Dudley, Mark Brown and Alex Sylvester. They're not too far away from the rear end of Ronneberg's car, but it's enough of a gap for Ronneberg to kind of take a chill pill and relax a little bit as they go round for the next few laps. And he doesn't really need to worry at this point in the race. It's still pretty early on. We're not even into double figures in terms of time lapsed. So, yeah, not too bad at all, as Mark Brown looks to try and make a move. Went for a little bit of a switch on turn 1, and that's put Alex Sylvester off big time, because Sylvester has actually gone straight into the tyres. Must have missed his braking zone with the attacks from Mark Brown there, and unfortunately he's gone off. And, well, you know what that means? That puts him further away from Ryan Dudley. That's not the scenario that the Sylvesters need. John Sylvester obviously not having much luck with Mark Brown there on the final turn when they had contact, and then Mark Brown went to go send a move up on Alex Sylvester, went for the switch, and then I think Alex Sylvester, in the heat of defending, just missed the braking zone and went off into the grass. I'm sure I'll be corrected if I'm wrong there, but that looks like that was what happened. Both the Sylvesters are now in front of each other though. You got P6 for Alex Sylvester, John Sylvester P7. You can see them there, one behind the other. There's a bit of a gap between them though. But that's not the ideal situation. That's not where they need to be. Alex Sylvester needs to be beating Ryan Dudley, and that's not going to be easy considering Ryan Dudley is currently sitting in P2. So that's not going to be an easy job whatsoever. Martin Lee in his M&M's car trying to catch the bright green car of Dave Clark, who's just ahead. And, well, he's going to have his hands a bit full here, because once he gets in front of Dave Clark, if he can do so, Scott Kostrick isn't too far up the road either. You can see him there in his comic car as they go around Oak Tree, up the back straight. You can see how long this straight is. You can see the leader up the road, and I mean, you know, we're currently looking at P12, so you can see there's many seconds between P12 and the leader, but they're all still within the same frame because this straight is just super long. Probably one of the longest straights I think we've seen this Tanso season. So big stuff, and I thought it would have been a lot more beneficial for these cars in terms of overtaking, but to be fair, we haven't seen much attacking going on the straights. It's always been the corners here. I think it's just drivers catching each other out and waiting for slip-ups. And, well, it's working, because we are seeing slip-ups happen. You know, the cracks are showing. This does happen. So, I think that just seems to be what they're sitting on, really. As they come over almost side by side now as they come down towards the start-finish line. Martin Lee is up on the inside, does have the position, and basically gets given it by Dave Clark. Dave Clark probably trying to play the safer card and just keep in the race at the minute, because we have seen a few people go off track and almost out of the race at this point because the amount of time that they're down on now as well. So Martin Lee gains the position nice and easily there. So let's have a little look. Scott Kostrick, who is closing down the gap actually quite significantly to your AM leader, Stuart Briley. Not only your leader on the track at the minute for the AMs, but he's also your championship leader. So things are looking up for Mr. Stuart Briley, who's going to be taking away the gold of the AMs if he keeps this up. I don't know if he technically wins it, if he can finish P1 in the AMs for both race 1 and 2. I don't know if that'll be enough over Dave Clark or not, because Clarky is currently in P3 for the AMs at the moment. So Clark is also having a good race for himself. Not bad whatsoever. Now Scott Kostrick is trying to push down on Stuart Briley here. Trying to close that gap up. Now, we are on the straight where I thought this would be a key place to cause some overtakes, but doesn't look like it's gaining him much time at all. Just looking at some of the other times on the board, and, well, this is one to keep an eye on. Ryan Dudley closing the gap to your leader. Oh, within a tenth now, almost of the final turn. What a run that is out of the final corner. He's going to be side by side, but he's going to get past nice and quickly by the looks of things. And yes, there he goes, straight by Eric Ronenberg. No issues at all there. So fantastic stuff for him, as he is well and truly in the lead now. Ryan Dudley is your new leader of this race, race 1 here on your Sunday evening. And, well, he's put Ronenberg in the mirrors, and 4/10 now split the two. So not a bad result there whatsoever. But Alex Sylvester will be absolutely ripping his hair out at that information. Not that he will know it yet, unless he's running some kind of overlay so he can see who's where. He won't know that Ryan Dudley is the leader of the race yet, unless his spotter has told him. But yeah, it's kind of not the news you want to be hearing if you're Mr. Sylvester. And Neil Rocks and Sylvester have had a little coming together, and Neil Rocks unfortunately got the worst of it and is off track on the infield. So he's going to try and regain all that grip and get it back on track as soon as possible. He does so. Is it in front of Scott Kostrick? Only just. He manages to hold off that position there. Scott Kostrick, oh, trying to get up the inside now. Not much between those two at all. They're going to be corner to corner almost through the S's. They're in a single file line at the minute. This group of 4 is pretty close indeed. Scott Kostrick keeping Stuart Briley at bay at the minute, but Martin Lee is hunting that P1 for the AMs. Now, if Stuart Briley isn't careful, Dave Clark is going to get involved in amongst this as well. He is 2 seconds back from Martin Lee, who's in the M&M's car here at the back of this pack. But only being 2 seconds back while these guys are battling, that's just going to slow these guys down. The more they battle, the slower they get. So that could bring Dave Clark in the mix, unless he has a mistake or two himself. But you can see the time went up to 2.5 seconds there and came down to 2 seconds. It's going back up again though, so I don't know if maybe Dave Clark's having a little bit of a struggle back there in that vehicle. Doesn't look like it. He looks to be going along okay, but the time has gone back up to 2.5 seconds. Martin Lee and Stuart Briley, they are going to send it in side by side. Looks like probably into these corners. No, they're not. They're going to separate back out, and well, Stuart Briley's going to let Martin Lee have that position, and Martin Lee is now the leader of your AM class at the moment. So Stuart Briley probably thought, yeah, you know what, I'm not going to risk it. I want to stay in this race. You know, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And well, to be fair, truly it is in these racing sessions. And Stuart Briley has disappeared off into Hogwarts. So while he's off riding his broom, there he is. He's back on the home straight now, and trying to catch up to Dave Clark, but it's not going to be easy. Not Dave Clark, sorry, Martin Lee. What I was going to say is Dave Clark hasn't got an easy job at catching Stuart Briley. 2.8 seconds behind now, so the time is opening up, so really does need to try and get his foot down a bit more if he can to catch those cars ahead. And unfortunately it looks like Martin Lee and Stuart Briley have crashed, so that could bring Dave Clark into the mix, and it certainly is. Stuart Briley isn't going to be able to defend that whatsoever, surely anyway. No, Dave Clark has got well and truly around him, and he's gained the position, because we had a bit of a coming together between Martin Lee and Stuart Briley. Let's have a little look at what happened here then, because this is an interesting situation, because it does affect things with the standings at the moment. So you've got Martin Lee there on the brakes in the M&M's car. He's going in pretty hot towards Scott Kostrick. Car spins. Just Stuart Briley just... Oh, yeah, you can see the line Stuart Briley's got. And unfortunately, yeah, there's nothing he can do there whatsoever. And those two have a little coming together. But Dave Clark now has to defend against Stuart Briley down towards the back end of the circuit now, heading towards the Oak Tree corner. Dave Clark really does need to keep his eye on his mirrors, because Stuart Briley, he is not slow, and he obviously was pulling away from Dave Clark before. Oh, the gap was opening up, and it's going to open up again, because Dave Clark unfortunately has had a bit of contact between him and Stuart Briley. Stuart Briley went a bit corner to corner with him, and unfortunately there's a bit of push and shove, and Dave Clark got the worst of it, and it sent him off into the infield right at the start of the straight as well. So his momentum now down the longest straight we've seen in the Tanso Racing Group season is now compromised by that incident, so he's not going to be up to momentum at all, up to speed until right at the very end of the straight. But here we are with Eric Ronenberg at the minute, trying to put the hunt on to Ryan Dudley. Now, if they're not careful and they battle too hard, that's going to bring Mark Brown into the mix, because Mark Brown is looking pretty quick around here tonight. So he could well and truly be brought into the battle here if these two battle it out at all. And I'm sure we will see these guys battle out. That won't surprise me whatsoever. But you've got the DMK Racing Team as what it's listed as here for Ryan Dudley at the front. I think he's in a Simtech livery though. Ryan Dudley is your leader, with Eric Ronenberg in the pure pink car just behind that in P2 at the moment. And you've got the bright green rims of Mark Brown with the pink bonnet just behind Eric Ronenberg in P3, just over 4 minutes to go at the point of saying this, so not long whatsoever. Now it's probably going to be 2 or 3 laps at the most left, so Dudley needs to just try and get a move on, try and keep Ronenberg behind you just for a little bit more, hold him up maybe if needs to be, because there's not much time left to go in this race. Maybe Ronenberg's been holding off though, because he knows he has the pace on Dudley, so he wants to sit behind and then pounce at last second. Maybe that could be tactic here, and they're going to be bumper to bumper all the way down the straight, I imagine, as they do make a little bit of contact there. Coming down the straight, there's Mark Brown as well, just in the background there of these two battling it out. They are going to open the gap up a little bit between the two, heading into the braking zone of the final few turns of the lap, as they head down now round through the left-handers towards the long sweeping right-hander. That you need to get that line perfect. If not, you get a terrible run out onto the home straight. And looks like Eric Ronenberg's going to get a decent run, but the gap's opened up big time. And at the minute, Stuart Briley is really trying to crunch down on Martin Lee of the DMK Racing Team. And, well, the BP Racing is they do have the advantage with Stuart Briley there. They are up the inside. And Stuart Briley does take the lead ahead of Martin Lee now for the AMS. So Stuart Briley is up, and he's trying to defend that title, or that title that could be coming his way, either at the end of tonight or heading towards the next round at Alton Park. You know, he could be crowned here, but I'm not too sure how close the points will be, because Dave Clark is still in P3 in the AMS at the moment, so he's still going to have some good points, don't get me wrong. So I don't know if the crowning will be tonight for Stuart Briley or not, but he needs to keep his head on now because there's not long left to go at all. What we'll do is we'll get the track map up here for you guys at home as well, so you can see exactly what's going on and who's where. Unfortunately, we've had a little accident with Harry Fox, who's down in P15. You can see Harry Fox had his incident at the Oak Tree corner. You can see him coming down the long back straight now. That really does show you on the track map how long that straight is. Like I've been saying, it's the longest straight we've had in this Tanso Racing season on any circuit, I believe. So I thought that would be the main place to cause overtakes, but it surely isn't with the way these guys have been racing here tonight so far. Stuart Briley and Dan Wareham go side by side. Dan Wareham does have the advantage. Stuart Briley doesn't need to push him too hard because he is a pro, so the main thing is keeping the AM lead, and well, he struggled to do that because he's lost 2 car positions. Both Martin Hobson and Martin Lee have gone by. The double Martin has flown by, and well, that's a battle between a pro and an AM there. Martin Lee in the M&M's car on the inside had the advantage around the Oak Tree corner, had the advantage over Martin Hobson, who is a pro car at the moment, and that pro car is splitting up the AM drivers. So who knows, will that cause Stuart Briley a bit more of an issue than what he needs here in the last lap of this race, or what should be the last lap of this race. Your leaders have come across the line, and Stuart Briley's just popped off to Hogwarts again, picked up the milk and returned back on track as they come around towards the final few corners now. Down into the sweeping right-hander. Almost contact there between Briley and Hobson as they come around now towards the final left-hander of the circuit, heading down towards the right-hander, back onto the home straight, as I'm sure we will see Barney waving his flag with delight on the infield there. You can see the cameraman just on the inside of the final turn and get some great shots. So I'm sure Stuart Briley coming up now in P2 for the AMs, down across the start-finish line. There is the white flag, so this is it. Stuart Briley needs to try and get ahead, if he can, of Martin Lee, but that's not going to be easy. There's not long left to go at all, and there's a bit of a gap that's formed, and unfortunately it's definitely not going to happen now because Stuart Briley has spun on turn 1. The commentator's curse, don't tell him I said anything about that at all. We'll just pretend it never happened, and then I won't get the blame. So let's focus on your battle for the lead then. At the moment, the gaps have opened up all over the field, apart from between Scott Kostrick and Neil Rocks. Those two are quite close together as well. But at the minute, Ryan Dudley has only a matter of a couple of corners to hold off Eric Ronenberg for the race win. There's not long left to go now at all. I'm sure Ryan Dudley knows that. He must have seen Barney's flag on the last lap, that white flag. Eric Ronenberg knows this. He knows that that white flag is out. He knows that this is now his chance to try and get a race win under that belt. Towards the end of the season. He's only got a couple of corners to make that move in. If he doesn't stick it, then unfortunately it is going to go advantage Dudley, and it looks like it's going that way. Apologies about that. It looks like it's going that way though. 8/10 split the two. Ryan Dudley, he does have the advantage. No time is coming down after the final turn. Ryan Dudley has absolutely nailed the exit out of the final turn there. You can see Dudley, Ronenberg and Mark Brown all coming across the line here now. So Ryan Dudley is your race winner for race 1. Eric Ronenberg P2 and Mark Brown P3. Those guys had a fantastic little race there. Absolutely wonderful stuff for them. Now we wait for the rest of the cars to come across the grid. Richard Fluherty is the next one across the line here, P6. And Alex Sylvester, P7, obviously his rival, championship rival at the minute, Ryan Dudley. Unfortunately, he did come out and win the race, so not the ideal scenario for him at all. Neil Rocks and Scott Kostrick coming together across the line there. Dan Wareham now the next one to come across the line with his pink bonnet. Martin Lee with the M&M's racing livery coming across the line there as well. Obviously, unfortunately, we can see the Carl Morrison in the pit, so hopefully we'll see Morrison for race 2. But if it is a graphics card issue, then it could be a lot worse than that. So we've just got to keep our fingers, toes and air follicles crossed at all times, and hopefully we'll see him rejoin the track here tonight. Dave Clark also coming across the line now. We'll just wait for Martin Hobson and Harry Fox to finish off their laps. Here comes Mr. Hobson. And, no, Hobson, the line's this way, sir. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, keep coming. Oh, no, and we're gone. We're gone. We've lost him. We've lost him. I don't know if Martin Hobson made it across the line or not. It says he did, and I really hope he did. because that was a very interesting line. Oh, he did. He's just sitting on the infield now instead. So yeah, a little bit of an interesting final line on the final lap there for Mr. Hobson. Very interesting indeed. Harry Fox is your last car across the line. Obviously, Harry Fox says he wasn't feeling too good at all, so that's all good. Harry, yeah, don't go into the pits yet, so you need to finish the race. As he swerves side to side, he knows he's on camera at the minute because he knows he's the last car across the line. As he comes across now, so we can bring you your results then for race 1. Even though you've pretty much heard me read them all out, we'll go over them again anyway, just for the sake of it, and I'm sure Ryan Dudley wouldn't mind that either. If I was to read out all these again with his name right at the top. There he is. Mr. Ryan Dudley is your race 1 winner. Eric Ronneberg, P2. Mark Brown, P3. Aaron Hobson, P4. John Sylvester, P5. Richard Fluherty, P6. Alex Sylvester, P7. Neil Rocks, P8. Scott Kostrick, P9. Daniel Wareham, P10. Martin Lee, Stuart Briley, P11 and P12. But those were 1 and 2 for the AM division there. Dave Clark was in P3 for the AM division, and he was P13 overall. Martin Hobson, P14. Harry Fox, P15. Darren Morrison, P16. Gary Linton, P17. And Kevin Randall was your P18 car overall. So wonderful racing from everyone out there tonight so far. A bit unfortunate for some of those drivers with some of the early effects of the racing, you know, with some a bit bumper to bumper, shall we say. But we are in a 5-minute warm-up now, so this is the penultimate 5-minute warm-up we're going to have of the season, because like I say, next season is the final round, and that'll be the final time, unfortunately, that I will be broadcasting for the Tanso Racing Group. But nevertheless, I'm sure the fantastic commentary in the broadcast will carry on in someone else's hands, and you never know, you might see me on the track next season out. Well, I'm not too sure, but we've definitely had John Johnston trying to talk me into it, and a bit of Mark Brown here as well. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But these guys now have 5 minutes to relax, cool off. Ryan Dudley has 5 minutes to drink his champagne from race 1 before we get back out onto race 2, and this will be the final race of the evening as well. Now 18 cars on track, reverse grid in action as well, so that is one thing to remember. Majority of the cars will be affected by the reverse grid. I believe it's top 15 if I'm not mistaken for the reverse grid, so only 3 cars will miss out, unfortunately. I think we only had 2 or 3 that didn't actually make the race start, so if that's the same case again, pretty much everyone is going to be on the lineup, or on the reverse grid, should I say. So that'd be good news for them. But yeah, not bad overall race for Mr. Dave Clark. That's really going to put some tension in on the points as well. So yeah, not bad at all for him. Stuart Briley needs to try and get a good finish now. He needs to try and get a P1. Obviously finish a P3 behind Dave Clark. And oh, his name's gone up my head. Martin Lee. Was it Martin Lee? Oh no, I'm terrible with names. I've already forgotten. But anyway, Stuart Briley needs to get a good position finish here in this next race now, because he does need that P1 to try and maintain them points over the top of the others contesting for that P1 position in the championship. Because at the minute, obviously, Stuart Briley, before that race 1, Stuart Briley was on 121 points. Dave Clark was 117. So not much between them whatsoever. Only 4 points in it. And then 3 points behind that was Ayrton Hadfield. Unfortunately, Ayrton's not with us tonight. And neither is Adrian Hadfield, who's P4, just outside the podium. 4 points behind Ayrton. And then JT Johnston on 86. So he hasn't quite made the 100 mark yet. So he's a bit further off. But yeah, three of the 5 names I've just mentioned aren't actually here tonight. So this is a key chance for Dave Clark and Stuart Briley to basically confirm either P1 or P2, and they've just now got to battle it out between themselves in terms of which one they will get. But I think there might still be a chance for Ayrton to possibly sneak a P2 out of next racing session if he's here for the final round of the season. That is at Alton Park. And well, what a fantastic race that will be. Great way to end the season at a UK destination. and a wonderful track with a lot of good chances for overtaking and, well, the potential for a couple of slip-ups as well. I'm sure we'll see some end-of-season donuts. We did see some donuts last round, so I do want to see some donuts on the last round of the season. I would like to see some of them for my final broadcasting round. That would be nice. Seeing some rubber being burnt on the first corner at the end of the race. That would be very nice to see, because we had a lovely little synchronised donut session at the end of Radscogan last time out, so that was quite enjoyable to watch as we were reading out the results. But your warm-up session has now finished. That is minute 5 over and done with. Now we will bring you your grid in just a moment when that flashes up. Here we go. So this is as it stands then. Harry Fox is your race leader, who is currently on your screen at the minute. So he is your race leader for race 2. Martin Hobson P2, Dave Clark P3, Stuart Briley P4, Martin Lee P5, Daniel Warren P6, Scott Kostrick P7, Neil Rocks P8. Then you've got Alex Sylvester P9, Richard Fluity P10. Then after that you've got John Sylvester and Aaron Hobson P11 and P12. Going down the grid then you've got Mark Brown P13, P14 for Eric Ronneberg, Ryan Dudley P15, Darren Morrison P16, Gary Linton P17, Kevin Randall P18. And, well, I can remember whose name it was now that I've seen it. It was Martin Lee that I couldn't remember. So, Martin, I do apologise. My DMs are open, so you can feel free to come and slate me for that. But, yeah, here we go. Race 2, 20 minutes of the Tanso Racing session, and we don't have a Stuart Briley on the grid, unfortunately. The lights are up 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and they're underway. Harry Fox gets a good start off the line, to be fair, but so does Martin Hobson as well, so that's going to be something to look out for. And all the cars actually go off to a good start, and we do have a Darryl Morrison on the track as well, so Darryl Morrison is back out on the circuit, which is good to see. And it looks like Stuart Briley is also out on track as well. So Stuart Briley's not out of the race. He's just starting towards the back. Maybe trying to bank on some of the collisions that are going to be happening. Obviously, Morrison is towards the back of the pack due to that unfortunate incident with his graphics card unit in race 1. When unfortunately that had a little bit of a crashing going on. If it's not crashing on the track, it's crashing in the PC. It's one or the other. And, well, either way, it's not something that you want, regardless of where the crashing happens. So, hopefully we don't see too much of it in race 2, but I've probably just jinxed it now, and I think I'll stop talking about it. I have just jinxed it, because there goes Mr. Mark Brown, unfortunately. Mark Brown has gone round into the tyre barrier, and now is sitting towards the back of the pack. The only car behind him is Kevin Randall, who I don't think made the start. So just as I open my mouth, we have a car spin, which is Mark Brown. Mark, I'm sorry, I deeply apologise, and I'm sure you can't wait to get rid of me out of this booth after next round. For the amount of times I've jinxed you this season, it's not fair. But these cars are now coming around for the first time down the back straight then. Martin Hobson in P2, trying to sit behind Harry Fox and get that slipstream up the back straight. Daniel Wareham just off of that. Obviously, a couple of rounds ago, Daniel Wareham, it was his birthday, I believe, so... Wareham's had not a bad season, to be fair, overall. I think he got a race win on his birthday as well, which was very nice indeed. And there's a bit of contact between the top two, Martin Hobson and Harry Fox. They are going side by side, a bit of door bashing, you can hear it going on. Bit of paint, bit of scratching going on there between the two cars. Bit of handbags, as we like to call it, between those two for the race lead at the moment. As they come around, they're still in the same formation as they were before. Ryan Dudley is looking to try and make a move on Stuart Briley here down in P15, well, the battle for P15 at the moment. They are going to be side by side up the back straight now. Ryan Dudley does take that position though on Stuart Briley and gets out in front. And Harry Fox, well, he did lose momentarily the lead of the race and gained it back, but he's also lost it once again to Martin Hobson. They are going to be battling side by side. Martin Hobson not wanting to give too much space. You can see him really squeezing up to Harry Fox there. Harry Fox is on the inside that we're on board with at the minute. And, oh, going a bit wide there, and those two nearly coming together. Martin Hobson looks like he caused the switch back, though, and again, they're still side by side. Still door to door. Oh, Martin Hobson's gone round! Unfortunately, there was a little bit of contact between him and Harry Fox. The corner of Hobson's car did tap Harry Fox's rear quarter, and unfortunately that was enough to send his GR86 spinning off the track. And well, he's got to Tokyo drift that thing back into the right direction. There he goes, back onto the tarmac just ahead of Mark Brown. Can Mark get around him on the S's? It's not an easy place to do so. Wow, we done that with absolute perfection. That car was proper swaying as he got the overtake done there. Dave Clark's also going to try and come around Martin Hobson, which he does so, and puts 3 or 4 tenths between those two there at the moment as well. Aaron Hobson, on the other hand, at the minute is currently sitting in like a pack of 3 or 4 cars. Richard Flutie and Darryl Morrison just behind, with Neil Rocks just ahead. Now heading up the back straight. I didn't mean to say ahead, I said ahead. So I'm no Henry VIII, but yeah, we won't talk about beheadings during a race. I don't know where that came from, but Aaron Hobson is trying to make it up the what would be the outside leading into the next turn. And he does get his nose out ahead as well. So Aaron Hobson has pushed his way up into P7. And yeah, he does get... That seems to be a very common move where people go for the outside, swing in to cut off that inside man, and then cut back to the inside in the next turn. That seems to be the dominant line, shall we say. Martin Lee at the minute is your leader in the AMS. And look where he is, by the way. P4 overall. He's the leader of the AMS as it stands. And the next amateur racer is Stuart Brierley, who's in P14. So there's 10 cars between the two. And then Dave Clark after that. So it's guaranteed a podium for all the AM racers out there tonight for race 2, because there's no more than 3 on the grid. So they are all going to get a podium of some sort. It's just a matter of where. And Stuart Brierley, if he can keep it consistent, he may catch up to Martin Lee towards the end of the race. But there's an awful lot of time between the two. So it's very, very unlikely unless Martin Lee has a bit of a slip up. But we won't talk too much about that because we know what will happen if I do. John Sylvester trying to catch up to Martin Lee at the moment, just behind him with a skull mask on his crash helmet there. Neil Rocks just behind that, with Richard Flutie tucked up just behind there as well, just in the top 10 as well, with Darryl Morrison just behind in P10. So while he's looking forward to try and get close enough to attack, he's also got to look in his mirrors, because Darryl Morrison isn't a slow car, he's not a slow racer, he's got what it takes to really take the fight to you, and I'm sure that is exactly what he's going to do and what he's going to try and do, as John Sylvester is trying to get towards Martin Lee, up towards the back straight. And well, here they go, around the oak tree. John Sylvester trying to get onto the back of Martin Lee, doesn't quite have it at the moment, but he's going to get closer down the back straight if he can get that slipstream engaged. It doesn't seem to be a lot of gain when you do get it engaged on these cars. Doesn't seem to be much of an advantage whatsoever. Neil Rocks is closing down that time though on the back straight, and this is someone that is trying to prioritise the slipstream, and I think he's getting a little bit. He probably got a bit of a better run as well out of the final turn. Neil Rocks trying to get up there into position on Aaron Hobson, sorry, and doesn't unfortunately do so. By the way, your race lead has changed, and we did slightly miss that, in fact. So just trying to have a look here, and I can't actually see what happened. I think Dan Wareham just got a very clean overtake. Let's have a little look at how he got the position then. Harry Fox, oh, he's gone wide, misses braking point completely. Dan Wareham kept that consistency up, took the lead of the race, and really made maximum advantage over that little slip up there for Harry Fox. The gap is just under a second between the two, so Wareham can get his head down. He could be looking at a race victory here. Definitely Wareham, nice one, Dan Wareham. Keep going indeed. Wareham could be your race 2 winner if he keeps this kind of pace up, but he's not going to have an easy job keeping Harry Fox behind him, because you can see Harry Fox has already eliminated 3 tenths between the top 2 cars at the moment, so he's going to have a handful to deal with there for Harry Fox. Martin Lee at the minute, he's doing very well for an AM to keep the likes of John Sylvester behind him. Doing very well indeed. Must have some very good pace around this circuit. Maybe learning off of these pro racers as well on where they brake and where they turn. So Martin Lee's probably getting quicker each lap we go around, and he's actually going side by side with John Sylvester. John's going to have the advantage though. He does get out in front in his what I am very fond of, the white carbon fibre livery car of John Sylvester. It is very nice. Both him and Alex Sylvester have similar looking vehicles. Alex Sylvester, by the way, is in front of Ryan Dudley here in this race. So Ryan Dudley is in P10, but Alex Sylvester's P3. So similar scenario to what we had in race 1, except for Ryan Dudley won the race. Alex Sylvester's on the podium, so it might not be exactly enough this time out, but there's still a race between these two to fight it out. Nothing's going to be decided tonight between these two. Harry Fox has taken the lead again, but Daniel Wareham's fighting back, and Daniel Wareham has fought back big time. And there's a bit of contact there between Harry Fox and Dan Wareham. I think Dan Wareham lets him have the position. Realised that was a bit risky going through the final couple of corners of the lap there, and probably going to mount his attack again coming up on the home straight. You can see that time coming down. Let's have a little look on the board with Dan Wareham then. Here he is, closing in on Harry Fox. He's getting closer, closer and closer, but don't panic. Spoiler of Harry Fox there is the leader of the race. They're going to be side by side now going up into turn 1. Here we go, the corner to corner. They're not quite going to be side by side through turn 1. But Dan Wareham's probably going to try and look up towards the inside line, or maybe get the cut back on the next couple of turns, because he does kind of have an advantage over Harry Fox now. Because if he could try and put Harry Fox off a little bit by looking like he's going to send a move and then not do it, or go for a little switch back, cut back here and there, you know, that could be all it takes to knock Harry Fox off the track and or just send his concentration a bit all over the place. Because Harry Fox did say he wasn't feeling too good, so there is potentially a weakness that Dan Wareham can exploit there. So if Harry isn't feeling 100%, maybe Dan can capitalise on that, and he sure is trying to do so at the minute, as the time is coming down within 2/10 now between the top two cars. And I don't think this battle is going to end all race, really. It seems to be going on for the length of the session, really. We've got an extra 5 minutes here tonight as well, remember, for race 2. It's a 25-minute race. So will that extra 5 minutes go in Wareham's advantage, or will it benefit Harry Fox more? You can see the time has gone up a bit more now. 7/10 between the top two cars as it stands, and Aaron Hobson is making a move now on to Martin Lee. Martin Lee, the M&M's car, slightly moving over. Hobson trying not to go too close. He saw he put a tyre or two on the grass. He's going to ruin a little bit of momentum that car did once have. They're almost going to be side by side and touching. As you can see, they realise how close they were and kind of pulled away from each other a little bit. They come again corner to corner into the final few turns of this racing session. Final few turns of this racing session. We're not even 12 minutes in yet. We're not even halfway. Final few laps of this. Oh my god! Final few laps of this race. Final few corners of this lap. There we go. That's what I was trying to say. But yeah, Aaron Hobson has got the advantage over Martin Lee. Martin Lee's still your leader in the AMS though at the moment. Sitting in P6 overall, still not a bad result at all. If you can round up in the top 10, it's going to be an incredible result for Martin Lee. So you just need to try and get that pace down as much as you possibly can, because all the cars behind him are now starting to get a bit close. So things are going to start getting a bit tense. They're going to start getting a bit tight, but if he can just maintain his momentum and what he has at the moment, he could be seeing a nice little finish. You can see the car getting all kinds of loose on Martin Hobson there. He's Aaron Hobson really trying to send that car around at full potential, and he's doing a very good job at it. Scott Kostrick is trying to defend against Neil Rocks at the moment. Not much between this pack 3. This was the battle really between these three in race 1 as well, I believe. So things have been close all night between these guys. Fantastic showing for all of them. Hopefully things aren't too hot in the rigs for these races either, because I mean at the minute I'm just broadcasting, it's 28 degrees in my room, so hopefully it's not too hot in the rigs or in the VRs if any of them are using VRs. I don't know if we have any VR races this season in the Tanso Racing Group. Not too sure who uses them and who doesn't, because people don't normally shout about it, so yeah, not too sure if we have any of them, but if we do, I'm not really jealous about what they're doing, because it's pretty hot stuff doing a race in VR, and I'm sure some of you will know that if you've ever raced in VR before. I've done it on 2 different types of VR, and both of them were really hot, sweaty by the end of it. So Not very nice at all. Scott Kostrick, though, has been overtaken by Neil Rocks. Neil Rocks does take the advantage, goes through. There's a bit of smoke there, and it looks like Martin Lee, your leader in the AMS, has gone off, unfortunately. Let's have a little look at Martin Lee's car. Can he get it back on circuit in time to keep in front of the rest? He is going to do so by quite some margin, actually, because Mark Brown is quite a way behind at the minute. That gap is closing. Going to be within 5 seconds, I reckon, by the time Martin Lee gets up to speed. And there you go, it is within 5 seconds, just about. As yeah, Martin Lee's car is now up to racing speeds as it comes down the home straight there. Still the leader in the AMSO at the moment, so still not a bad position at all. P11, you know, he was sitting up in P6 for quite a while, holding off P4, holding off this man, John Sylvester, for a few laps as well. Alex Sylvester, unfortunately, having a bit of a slip up there, and it looks like also Daniel Wareham has had a bit of a slip up as well. He's moved down to P4 now, so not ideal for Mr. Wareham, but if he could just keep his head down, keep his foot down, he may be able to pick something off, because I reckon that these top 3 are going to be in battle soon, because the Sylvesters have been looking very strong, pushing up the grid together at the moment. So once they start battling Harry Fox, that will bring Wareham back into the mix again, as Wareham's heading around towards the Oak Tree corner now, towards the back end of the circuit in the Simtech livery, as it goes flying by there with nice light blue metallic wheels. Lovely stuff from him. Some nice liveries here tonight, and obviously that'll be one thing to look forward to in the new season of Tanso for those that do come by and watch it wherever it'll be next season, whether it's on JP Broadcasting or elsewhere. Obviously make sure you do follow the Tanso Racing Group and watch the coverage going forward as well. So we will see some lovely new liveries, I imagine, as well. It's taken me a little while to get used to the ones for this season, because we've had the likes of the Sylvesters change theirs from the typical red, black and white that they normally run, but it looked very similar to another livery out on track. So yeah, there's a bit of carnage going on with the colour combinations, but here we go, battle 3 wide almost. Richard Flutie backs out, Scott Kostrick also backs out to let Ryan Dudley go through, take the lead of this group. And well, Ryan Dudley's going to be thankful for that. He didn't really want to send that 3 wide into those final corners there at the back of that straight. It was a great time to go 3 wide though on a long straight like that, but not a good time if you're going to hold it into the corner 3 wide. That wouldn't have been pleasant whatsoever for these guys as they come through in single file once again. You can see Eric Ronenberg on the back of Richard Flutie there as well, so he's going to be trying to make a move and get that position done. He's going to be on the outside line heading in towards turn 1. You can see they're all in the braking zone. The front of the car kneels down as they go into the brakes, and well, Eric Ronenberg's going to hold the outside line, trying to get the momentum on Richard Flutie. Doesn't quite have it, but he's going to have the advantage if he can hold the inside line corner to corner now over the next couple of corners, and doesn't quite have his nose in front, but he does now. He's managed to get his car in front of Richard Fluitie's, and the green Fox car of Mr. Flutie has fallen back. Eric Ronenberg up into P9, going to catch up to Scott Kostrick, see if he can gain another position. Eric Ronenberg's pace has looked really good this session so far. Fantastic stuff from him. Alex Sylvester also trying to close down that gap now, within 2 tenths between the 2 cars for the race lead. Then Harry Fox is looking quick, but Alex Sylvester's looking quicker as he is trying to close that gap down. But just as I say that, it starts extending itself again, and every time I seem to open my mouth here tonight, the opposite happens. So if I sit here and say we're not going to have a battle for the top 3 at all this race, hopefully that's now about to change, because I think we're about to see Alex Sylvester try and go for a move up onto the inside of Harry Fox, I imagine, as they come into the corner at the end of the straight. You can see the car almost going to swerve out there on Alex Sylvester's view from the car of Harry Fox. They kind of look to go, yeah, he's looking up the inside, doesn't go for the move though. I thought he was going to go for it at the end of that straight, doesn't quite do so. Scott Kostrick also trying to send it 3 wide once again. No, at the minute he is currently side by side at the moment, and a bit of contact between Eric Ronenberg and Scott Kostrick, but Eric Ronenberg manages to keep it on track, keep it steady, and well, a steady job he has done with that as well. He's actually gained a little bit of time there, because I think Scott Kostrick did have to back off just a tad to let the car of Eric Ronenberg go through. So Richard Flutie's just on the back of that pack as well, so he's going to be trying to catch up and gain a position if he possibly can. And well, a fantastic showing so far for these 3. They may not be in similar places in the championship standings, but they're certainly similar place in terms of grid position and times that they're doing per lap. Scott Kostrick looking to go up the inside line, won't have that at all, doesn't even look close for that move, but I think it's more just trying to put Eric Ronenberg off in these mirrors as Richard Flutie is looking to mount an attack now, if he possibly can, on Scott Kostrick. Richard Flutie has the closest battle out on circuit at the minute, but that gap is rising, so that is now going to fall down to Alex Sylvester. At the front of the grid here. He is trying to race Harry Fox's socks off for that P1 victory in race 2. We're coming up towards the last 7 odd minutes of this race as well, so do not switch off your TV screens, your Xboxes, your PCs, your phones, whatever you're watching it on, wherever you're watching it. Don't turn it off, because in our penultimate round, things are going to come down to the wire. As you can see, the top 3 now are getting within 5/10 of each other as they come around Oak Tree. The gap has opened up just a little bit, but the Sylvesters are now closing up on each other as well. So Harry Fox is going to have immense pressure on him. Dan Wareham, because he's just in the background, so any kind of slip up between any of these 3, that will mount Dan Wareham on the podium, and probably he'll be able to finish in a podium spot for this race, because any kind of slip up now that involves an off track, and that'll be race over pretty much for these top 3. So the pressure is on. The pressure's on for Harry Fox as he sits on the inside line. Sylvester looks to take running outside, doesn't do so. Looks like slowed up John Sylvester a little bit, had to get on the brakes a bit harder. You can see John Sylvester's car really needling down a lot more into the braking zone out of the back straight there towards the final few corners, as Alex Sylvester still trying to chase down that leader of your race there, of Harry Fox, who's sitting quite comfortably out in the Wiskins livery car in P1 at the moment. Mark Brown's obviously trying to close down to Martin Lee within 2/10 now of that vehicle, but that time it keeps like fluctuating. It bounces up, goes down, bounces up, goes down. So we'll keep an eye on what is going on here. What was that about? No, about for top 3. Reverse psychology, mate. I said that on purpose because it seemed like whatever I say tonight, the opposite happens. So I said I don't want to see a battle between the top 3, and look at what we've got. We've got a battle between the top 3. We've also got a battle for Mark Brown and Martin Lee, and they're going to be side by side into turn 1. Mark Brown doesn't get the position, does get the switchback though, has the inside line advantage on Martin Lee. Martin, if you just hold it and let Mark Brown go, he's going to be quicker, I imagine, but just see if you can hold on to his line. No, he decides to fight out instead. All side by side, don't make contact with each other whatsoever. You two are both having great races. Martin Lee, your leader of the AMS, settle down, sir. You want to make sure you can bring this home. So if it's safer to do so, let Mark Brown go. But if not, race the socks off it, son, and see what you can get out of it. See what experience you can get there as well, because I'm sure those two will be having fun. The battle between Martin Lee and Mark Brown. AM versus Pro. But on track, on paper, it's just person versus person in these race cars, to be fair, because you take all the fancy points and the class systems away, and it is just 2 people in exactly the same cars racing each other. So it purely comes down to skill level, and their skill level looks matched at the moment. Let's go SOB is the cry out in the chat at the moment. Mark Brown is within 4/10. Wow, that time's really close down. He's got the advantage over Hobson. Not Hobson, Martin Lee, sorry. What a move that was. Out of the Oak Tree. I was not expecting that at all, as you can hear the slightly delayed reaction from me. I wasn't expecting him to make the move just like that. I'm just watching the replay on my monitor here. And yeah, fantastic move. Got on the accelerator nice and early. Managed to get past Martin Lee there with ease. Absolute ease. And didn't affect his pace too much at all. Eric Ronenberg at the minute trying to put the pressure on Ryan Dudley, and Ryan Dudley, oh, had a little bit of an off track there. It's going to affect his line and his momentum into the final turns. They come around onto the home straight now. Eric Ronenberg's possibly going to look up onto the inside line. You can see the cars at a slight angle to each other, and Ryan Dudley's looking to defend with all his might that inside line. Eric Ronenberg doesn't want to settle for the outside. They're almost side by side. They're going to be side by side into the braking zone. Eric Ronenberg's going to slot him behind though, I imagine. Possibly trying to go for the cutback. Is going to look towards the cutback. Ryan Dudley goes on the defence again. This is going to be slowing them two up now. It's going to bring Scott Kostrick and Richard Flutie into the mix if they're not careful. So they need to try and get a move on. And Eric Ronenberg needs to try and make this pass safely and as quickly as possible, because there's not long left to go at all. We're into the last 3 minutes of the race. Let's get that track map up for you once again for you guys at home, guys and girls. There we go, P1 to P5. Look, going through the S's, and they've done an absolute amazing job. or shall I say it's a second load of S's that they were going through at the time. They're now coming up towards the Oak Tree corner. We will focus back on them in just a second. See if Eric Ronneberg can do anything now to Ryan Dudley. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to just yet, but things are still going to be close between them two. Alex Sylvester and John Sylvester are still fighting it out for that race lead. Unfortunately, Darren Morrison has went off track. He came back on track, but he's jumped to the pits. So unfortunate scenes there for Darren Morrison. Darryl, hopefully the graphics card and everything is okay. Martin Lee has crashed. I've had reports that Martin Lee has crashed, and that is going to send him down. Well, he's still going to be in the lead because 20 seconds behind is Stuart Bradley, so he's still going to be in the lead of the race for the AMS, but that's not an ideal scenario whatsoever for him. That's surely going to affect his confidence. Top three are close indeed. Just trying to see if Eric Ronneberg can make a move. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to. He's got the advantage though out the fast few corners towards the end of the lap. Let's see what he can do, if anything at all. Can he get that advantage over Ryan Dudley? Oh, it looks like he's not going to quite have it. We've got to jump up to here, though. This is where the battle is at the moment between the Sylvesters. Alex Sylvester and John Sylvester. John Sylvester has the advantage. He's there in P2. Alex Sylvester had to take the outside line, so those two have switched around. Alex says, I can't catch that leader of Harry Fox, or he can't get around him, shall I say. They can catch him, but they can't get around him. So John is now going to give it a go for the last couple of laps as well. Did Eric Ronneberg make that move? He didn't make that move. Dudley is still in front. Dudley is making that thing the size of a tank at the moment. You can see he slightly moves towards the left to defend against Ronneberg. Oh, back in, gets a little bit wide. Oh, a bit squirrely there. Back on the re-entry of the circuit after he went a little bit wide on that turn there, but within track limits, I imagine, as well, because he was still within the rumble strip space. While top three are close still. Stuart Rice, they are indeed, sir, and I'm sure that won't change at all, as John Sylvester is looking to get very close now onto Harry Fox. If John Sylvester swallows up Harry Fox, I am sure that Alex Sylvester will take advantage on that as well, and Harry Fox, I'm sure, is feeling the pressure as he's had a little bit of an off track there. I believe this is the white flag lap as well, so this is what it comes down to. We're now heading up the back straight round by Oak Tree. But here comes Daniel Wareham potentially. He sure does. Daniel Wareham is now in the mix, so the battling has brought Wareham into contention for a podium spot. Now you can see that the cars are fairly evenly spread out. It's actually quite satisfying watching those rear few cars go through the S's now. But at the minute, Eric Ronneberg, Ronneberg's going to be close to making a move at the back straight, potentially losing a bit of time. John Sylvester can't mount it on the corners straight out of the back straight, but can he get it out of the final turn? Does he get that advantage? You need to have a very good run to beat Mr. Fox. Can Dan Wareham get that move done on Sylvester? No, Dan Wareham spins. Dan Wareham has spun. He's just written himself off of a podium, unfortunately. And across the line, then here comes Harry Fox to take your race to victory by 2/10 to John Sylvester. Then Alex Sylvester just behind that. Aaron Hobson will be taking your P4, and unfortunately Dan Wareham has had an awful thing happen to him on the final lap of the final race here tonight, as he's unfortunately spun towards the end, and well, he'll finish in P9, so he's still within the top 10, but I'm sure he won't be overly happy with that considering where he was before in P4, potentially going to get a podium. He just needed a good run, probably got the accelerator down a bit too early there, unfortunately, and that sent him off there, sadly. So yeah, unfortunate results for him, as Eric Ronneberg is testing out the reverse sensors on the GR86s. Here comes Stuart Bradley flashing his lights, and where does Stuart Bradley finish? Let's have a little look, shall we? Stuart Bradley finished P3 of the AMS, I believe. P3? No, P2. Martin Lee, yeah, P2. P2 of the AMS was Stuart Bradley. P3 was Dave Clark, so not a bad result there for Stuart Bradley at all. And Gary Linton is in the pit lane, I believe. So that was your racing session there. That was your race 2, and what a tight race 2 that was indeed. Let's have a little look at your Heat 2 results then. So that's not them. That's not them either. When I finally get the results, I think it's because Gary Linton is still out on track. There we go. I've just had the results come through just as we switch back. So we'll get rid of that. Oh, it's all over the shop at the minute. There we go. So Harry Fox is your race winner for race 2. John Sylvester P2. Only 2 tenths between the top 2 there. Alex Sylvester 6 tenths behind that in P3. Aaron Hobson then P4. Ryan Dudley P5. Eric Ronneberg P6. Scott Kostrick P7. Richard Flutie P8. Dan Wareham P9. Mark Brown P10. Neil Rocks P11. Martin Lee was your winner for the AMS in P12 overall. Stuart Briley P2 in AMS, but 13th overall. Dave Clark P3 in AMS, but 14th overall. Gary Linton P15. Darren Morrison with that unfortunate jump to the pits in that race. Not the ideal scenario tonight for Mr. Morrison, but I'm sure the last round of the season he will have a bounce back there. Martin Hobson P17 and Kevin Randall P18 overall. So, not a bad racing at all here tonight. Now, we do have this issue where when I drag people up into the interview room, you can never hear them. So before we bring someone up into the interview room, I'm going to make sure that we can hear them. Because we seem to have this issue every week, and I'm determined to not let that happen again. So let's have a little talk with someone who said he would miss my commentary when I do depart ways at the end of the season. We will bring in Mr. Mark Brown, as I just confirmed that you are definitely going to be able to hear him. Oh, everything's lining up, so it looks like it. So we'll bring Mark Brown into the booth then. Mark, how is it going, sir? Welcome in.
Not too bad, not too bad. Can't complain.
Some tense stuff out there tonight. Some good pace from your many laps there, and well, there's a few slips during the session. There's a bit of contact as well. It looked like quite fierce racing out there tonight. Was you were you feeling a bit of the pressure from any of the other drivers? Because I saw a bit of door-to-door going on, not only between yourself but a few other racers out there as well.
Yeah, it's a tricky track now. I did have good enough pace at the start of it. I was surprised in my qualifying. I had my qualifying lap was a banker lap because I won the first 2, so it wasn't too bad that way. I suppose the start of the first race didn't go to plan. Tapped John, unfortunately, John Sylvester, and I made a lot of stupid mistakes at the start of the race with the tyres being a bit cold, you know. But then we just held first, second, third, like, and you know, I think I set the fastest lap. First race too, like I was catching Ryan and Eric, but there was no point at that time. Second race now, had a good start, but I suppose I was on the inside of Richard Flutie and just touched the curb a wee bit with the cold tyres and spun, and that was in the second race. Got my way back up on the 10th, but yeah, it's a hard track now. I don't mind it, like it's nice. Yeah, it's nice, like these cars.
I mean, it certainly looked like a lot of fun out there, and with a grid size of 18 tonight, and there was definitely a good amount of battles going on as well, and the top 3 in the last race, I'm sure if you watch it back you'll see how close that really was. But obviously I can see at the minute, according to our race results that was provided by the lovely Harry Fox, you're still listed as a Legend 43 Racing. So I know we do have one more round left of this season, but I am curious to get your early insight, if we can. Next season, 1, will you be reattending to the Tanso Racing Group? And 2, will you have a teammate? Because I have you listed down here as a solo team.
Well, me and Eric was sort of supposed to be teammates. We're supposed to be SimTech Pro, along with the Daniel and Ryan, sort of SimTech. So I don't think it was updated the information properly, maybe. But yeah, we'll be returning next season 100%. Hopefully, teammates with Eric, and try and get a full season in. Hopefully, I missed a couple of rounds there, been away on holidays and stuff, so I had a couple of stupid races too. So we can get the consistency right and hopefully try and challenge at the top, you know, put some better points on the board.
100%. Well, we have one more round left, which I believe is at Alton Park. Final round of the season. What are your thoughts on Alton Park? Is that a track favourite of yours, or are you more sort of trying to turn a side eye to it?
It's just another track to me. So it is. Yeah, I don't mind Open Park. I wouldn't say I'm rapid fast in it, or it's one of my favourite tracks, but yeah, we'll see now. Hopefully we should be fit match times with other people, like, and try and get a good result out of both races. All been well.
Well, it's certainly going to be interesting watching the final round of the season, see how tense things get for everyone around Alton Park, and I'm sure you guys will be looking forward to it as a season finale as well. But for this, well, second to last time in the booth from me, Mr. Brown, I wish you all the best during the week, and hopefully you'll have a good last round of the season as well. So I look forward to seeing you then.
Yeah, hopefully so. Hopefully be chatting to you next round, and it'd be sad to see the end of the season, but we're looking forward to the new season again of it. So yeah, we're plenty going on. So hopefully see you about.
Certainly will. And is there anyone you want to shout out in the booth before you head off today?
Just to yourself and Tanso, hey, you've done a brilliant job for us here, commentating and broadcasting this for us. Well done to yourself. We couldn't ask for better. And for the men, the racers, well, here within Tanso too, it's a good group of men. We all make it what it is. Like, there's no one person, so it's good to see it. Like, and hopefully it just keeps going on and gets better and better. Like, so well done.
Yep, fingers crossed. I really appreciate those kind words as well. But fingers crossed it does go well. And Tanso is heading in a great direction from when I first started broadcasting here. So it's lovely to see. But thank you very much for joining us in the booth tonight, Mark. I will let you go on your way before we get Mr. Dudley in here as well. But yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the final round of the season and wish you all the best.
Yes, thank you very much. Now take care.
So that was Mr. Mark Brown then, and just before we get Ryan Dudley in, just make sure I have everything set up here correctly. I do actually, for once. Yeah, there we go. So we'll welcome in Mr. Ryan Dudley then. Mr. Dudley, welcome to the booth once again. How are we doing?
Good evening. Yeah, not bad, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad at all. Saw some great racing out there tonight. Some very tense stuff as well. There's a lot of door-to-door going on between many different cars, and well, obviously yourself was involved in some tight battles out there, but one battle I do want to talk about that's probably going to be very spicy at the last round of the season at Alton Park is between you and Alex Sylvester for the championship standings. It's going to be very tense between you two, because obviously he wants to get on the podium with John Sylvester, and well, you potentially have a chance to catch John Sylvester for a P2 as well, if you have two great races next round. But how was the pressure going out there tonight, knowing that Alex Sylvester is seriously close to you, not only in pace but also on the championship standings as well?
Well, I think it showed in the second race. I was trying to push too hard, and well, yeah, clipped the grass and it ruined the race. Really, I would have been on the pack for the entire way otherwise. But yeah, just trying to make movements as fast as I could. Well, to be honest, try and chase down his points, because I seem to have a bit of pace tonight, luckily. And Alton Park's one of my favourites, so I was hoping to recover some good points. But yeah, second race went down the drain. But we'll take fifth. I think it was fifth, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was either fifth or sixth or something like that. Yeah, so not a bad result to be fair at all, especially after race one. A fantastic result for yourself there. It was great to see. But yeah, the pressure's certainly going to pile on for the last race of the season. And well, are you going to be putting a bit extra practice into this, knowing what's on the line, or are you just going to try and keep things as calm and as normal as possible to try and keep your focus?
Well, I don't want to sound like that guy. I don't usually practice. I find it hard to concentrate and on my own and get some lap times in which are any good. But I'm gonna definitely try this week to see what I can do for next Sunday.
I don't blame you at all. Well, it's been an absolutely fantastic season for yourself in the solo standings, and not a bad result as well for Simtech overall at the minute. I believe P2, your team of you and Wareham. Wareham had an unfortunate incident towards the end of race 2, a little spin on the second to last corner, so we were absolutely devastated for him in the booth. But to be fair, P2 for your team at the moment, not bad whatsoever. So obviously that's another thing you've got to try and maintain into the last round. So there's a lot of pressure going into that. But well, 2 pieces of silverware potentially for you there, you know, in the teams and in the single racing division. So I'm sure you'll be looking forward to that. And you said Alton Park's your favourite, so I'm expecting some really good pace from you in that final round. But
Probably jinxed myself by saying that, but we'll see.
well, I'm sure you'll have supporters as usual in the chat as well here on the live broadcast, because you normally do every week. There's always people asking where you are out on the course, and well, you've certainly delivered here tonight with both the races, and great racing we saw indeed. But is there anyone you wish to shout out before I let you head off here in the booth tonight?
No, just thank you to Tanso for obviously doing the league. Thank you to yourself for streaming it all and commentating. And yeah, thanks to everyone watching, especially my supporters and my fans. No, they're just my friends, but yeah.
That's a fantastic result, and full deserved of your fans, to be fair, after your season performance so far from what we've seen. But one more round to go. Alton Park, obviously a favourite of yours, so wish you all the best with your practice during the week, and we look forward to seeing you next round out in the Tanso Racing Group race series.
Thank you very much, mate. I'll see you next week.
Yeah, I'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Ta-ra, mate.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Ryan Dudley, who had a fantastic race 1. A slightly worse race 2, but we can't say it was a bad race 2 at all. Had some good results overall in the end anyway. Just to sort of explain the question that Phil is asking, I'm not totally leaving JPB. No, I just need my Sunday evenings for my personal channels and things. So I'll be using this time, but at the same time, we could also see me on track in the Tanso Racing Group. So not confirmed as to who is doing the Tanso broadcasting next season, but we still have one more round to go. The last round of the season is next week. So no, Phil, you haven't got rid of me just yet. It's going to take more than that, sir, to get rid of me and the JPB channel. But yeah, we've got one more round to look forward to, guys. So hopefully we'll see you in the next round of this season, and it's the final one as well, where we are going to be crowning our champions. And, well, potentially see some promotions as well from AM to Pro. But until then, make sure you all stay safe and have a lovely week. And we'll see you once again next Sunday for the Tanso Racing Group Racing Series. Once again for another tense battle out there to decide the championship. But until then, I've been Callum Mileham in the booth with me, myself and I. And we'll see you next week.